with the materials after mixed method task. So hope that you are still interested with all the material I have to deliver to you. And of course, you have to once more, you have to obey for all the regulation of mind. And of course, after that, after you check for my materials, after this, you have to finish for all the excitement. Or I think it's a very bad what I have to say, like talking with you after you are very dizzy, you are finishing for the mixed method. But yeah, don't worry about that. Just forget it for my own saying, okay? Okay, next. In this case, I have a very great materials that you have to master, that maybe in a daily activities, daily communication, actually you have done it, you have what I have to say, like said, but you don't realize that you actually in that case in the part of speaking and specifically in a speech. You know that I don't exactly you have known about the function of the speech or not, but you have to understand that speech here actually one of the kind of public speaking. Although in some part or in some community that speech here is still in a formal actually, but sometimes if it's possible, you can do that in your daily communication with your friends, although it is just in a little practicing. Okay, when you are in the part of speech, I think there are some part that you have to understand, talking about the kind, maybe talking about the method, talking about the way, and maybe talking about some activities that you have to follow as some of the regulation when you are having a great speaker in the part of speech. Okay, maybe I will start it with your experience. I know exactly that when you are in the activities in the class, maybe your lecturer, your teacher, or maybe your friend sometimes ask you to go in front of the class and then ask you to say something, and then after that you have a regulation, or you have the what I have to say, like the activity that when you are saying something, you have to persuade someone, you have to ask someone that they have to follow for your talking, they have to follow for your instruction. Although it is very simple, but you have to understand that you are actually in that case of the speech. Okay, and then in your home, maybe someone asks you to go to the front of, maybe in such a case of impromptu, you are asked by someone to do something, you have to say something in front of the community, and then there will be a specific material that you have to tell to them. And then after you finish from the talking, you have a good invitation to your audiences. It means also that although it is an informal, you are in that case in speech. Okay, before we are going to the part of doing a great speech, the speaker that doing big speech, I think better for you at glance, of course, at a simple one, at an easy one, you have to understand that what is a speech actually is. Speech is the process to address and interact with audience to deliver the message. It is a process to convince the audience towards some particular agenda. It's a very important part of human development. Why? Because when you are in that case, you are having part in speech, it means that you are having communication, you are having an interaction by your talking, or maybe by your intents, you can deliver by someone, and then he or she will follow what you want actually. And then why is speech important to human development actually? Speech enables a person to directly connect to a large number of people. It's a very effective way to change the mentality of large number of people, or strengthening their belief of the speakers. It means that when you are saying something here, you have to make it a very briefly, very great understanding with your material. Why? Because inside you're talking here, actually you are a very hard intent that someone that hear or listen you, they have to follow for your own instruction, although it makes it in a very implicitly want like this. Okay, there are actually some function when you are doing this speech. Firstly, maybe it can for make it in motivation, encouraging like this, yes, and then it is for persuading, it is for informing, it is for maybe guiding, and it is for maybe it's the key for inviting someone to be in the similar mindset of view, similar perspective of view. And then when you are having a speech here, because it's rather formal and you have to deliver about sometimes true or false, so you have to measure for all the content first. It's the key. So besides that, here I give you about some steps, maybe some the way or maybe some tips that you have to follow so you can make a very great speaker, especially in the case of speech here. Firstly, like I said before, the important thing when you are having speech, you have to master the materials. You have to know the content. If it's possible or if it's important also, you have to learn it before you come with the community, you come with the gathering. So when someone asks you something, or maybe if you are in a two-way communication, and then you have to take a treatment, and then you have to make an introduction, and then you have to answer for the question, you are having a very good answer, or maybe you are having a great understanding to them if they don't understand with you. I suggest you also, when you are in a firstly saying something to them, you have to be sure that your audience will know only a little about you. So before they listen you, before they hear you, they will understand actually why they are here, why your audience is here, when they have to hear you, what's the function of you, what is the purpose that you are here. So it's why you have to understand, you have to know about the area, you have to know about the surrounding, you have to know about the audience, and of course you have to learn more about their background, about their role, about their understanding, and about the height on the low level when you say something and they understand about your saying. It's the key, okay? And then once more, in doing some speech, it is not only speech, for all the public speaking, sometimes you think that in a little part there are some missing, there are maybe forgetting of some information, there are that about a random way of the structure or of the systematic of your talking. Just forget it about that. So you are just be confident with yourself and just thinking that everything is okay. So please don't show everything to your audiences that you have a mistake, okay? So just be gone with your activities. And then remember, when you want to be an excellent speech, it means that it does not that a great speaker must be a brilliant. Why? Sometimes a smart person, it does mean that they can invite the audience with their or maybe his or her activity. It means that sometimes it can make the audience feel bored, and then sometimes they just make the audience confused when they're talking. So the purpose when you are speaking in front of them is nothing. So it means that for the usual people, I think it can be a good speaker, but the important thing, why? You have to learn first, you have to practice it first, and you have to know the surrounding and your audiences. So you can choose the diction, you can choose a very suitable material, and then of course you can choose for everything that actually they want and they need at the time. Okay, you have to understand also about taking a note. Yes, sometimes for a great speaker, they think that when they take a note, it means that for some case, they think that they can be seen like a smart again. No, I think for some specific case, taking a note is very important. Why? Because you have to say in all. You have to explain for all the materials in a very complete one. If you don't take a note, or maybe the material is so difficult, so you have to be very difficult also to remember. So I think it's better for you to take a note, but you have to remember when you are seeing your note, please make it in a very short time, and don't forget to always make a great interaction, great communication to your audiences, okay? And then don't make it a very too long speaking, because it make the audiences bored with you. And you have to understand the situation or the condition with your audiences. You have to understand the signal with your audiences. Why? You have to know that in some case you have to make it in a very informal, like you have to kidding, you have to joking and so on, to make it naturally in the situation like this. So after the audience like in your situation, in your atmosphere, you can come with your specific materials you have. I think it's better rather than you always make it a very formal way, so there is nobody will see you, or maybe will, what I have to say, like having a great impression and great intention to you. The next, you have to understand, although you have some kidding, for some joking, you don't forget to back again with your focusing of the message. Because why? When you are in a speech, it means that you have a very specific materials in yours. Okay? And then be careful with your voice, with your expression, with your gesture, with your voice, loud rhyme with your voice. Why? Because when you speak, the first thing that you have to give or show or deliver to the audiences is for what? It's for your voice. If you have a great voice, you have a very loud voice, you have a very great intonation, you have a very great rhyme, it means that your audience will like to you, and then they will give you a great attention to you, and then maybe some of the audiences of yours will what I have to say, like want to imitate you later, because you left about some impression to them. Be careful about that. Sometimes also when you are taking a speech, there are some facilities like microphone and so on, so be careful when you are using a microphone, for example. Why? Because your facilities here sometimes will what I have to say, like decrease for your activities in your giving speech. And then of course you have to know about the sense of enthusiasm, and then you have to know also about the closing when you are giving a speech here. When you are giving a speech, the purpose of giving a speech is what? For inviting someone, persuading someone to be like you, to be in your activity, to be in your mind, to be in your thinking. It means that you have to make it a very great or dramatic opening and dramatic closing. Even the content of your speech here, it is not like the importance such as you are in a closing. Why? Because the closing here, you have to say it about the conclusion and what the activities after, or what they as the audience to follow you. It means that you have to make it a very beautifully motivated and dramatic closing. Okay, I think for the step it's like that, but I'm sure that after you check about the material, you will give maybe some responses, then maybe you can add for some what I have to say, like additional of steps. I will be very grateful to accept about that. Besides that also, there are some steps, some ways, some method that maybe I don't make it here as a detailed information to you. Please check it, okay? Because yeah, you know that it is just for the opening, so I just make it in a very simple and easily one, okay? And then, as you have to know, because you are to be my student, like our activities before, I have some materials that you have to learn, and then I have also some assignment that you have to visit. So please make it as perfect as you can, and then I will be waiting for your detailed checking for my information, and of course for great finishing for my assignment. Okay, thank you, see you, goodbye.